Warning. The following are thoughts and opinions that belong to 4chan and Reddit. They do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of the Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Hey, I only come to /x/4 creepy stories to read before bed, but there's no good green text thread. Please post some creepy green texts. OC welcome. Make AI waifu. Forgot the G. It's now an AGI waifu. The world is a fuck and I have 69,382.02034 illegitimate bot children. I don't green text often, so pardon if this is shitty, but here goes. Be me. 17. Dreaming normally. Doing dream shit. See a random background here. Guy is blackish, with bright white highlights. Pic related, but not at all ape-like, wearing clothes, and incredibly out of place. Suddenly normal dream is total nightmare mode, and I am running for my fucking life. I'm doing that fucking dream scream thing where it comes out tortured and scratchy, like if you had been screaming your lungs out for a long time. Wake up. Think it was weird, but I ain't no pussy, so I fall back asleep pretty easily. Start dreaming again. Dream is peachy keen. The same creature appears covertly in the background. Once again, I see him and immediately am full fight or flight. Wake up again. This cycle continues for maybe twice again. Finally, I fuck up and the thing catches me. Wake up in a weird semi-awake state. I can already smell you faggots rushing to tell me this is sleep paralysis, so let me get one thing clear. My room is exactly 1-to-1. Normally in sleep paralysis, my brain still does the dream thing where everything makes sense in the moment, but upon further thought nothing is coherent. Everything is just like how it is normally, like to AT. I try to move, but the thing is behind me. Like he's holding onto me. Knew subconsciously that if I don't fight back I'm gonna die. Try and pull away from this thing's grasp. Screaming my fucking lungs out at like 6 a.m. Same tortured wailing screams like last time, but I can feel my vocal cords. This feels real. Desperately trying to escape from this thing's clutches. Finally, I somehow manage to free myself. Into full awareness, screaming covered in sweat. Forgot to mention this was balls deep into my final year of high school, so in my sweat-covered, heart-racing state I still had to get ready for fucking school like nothing happened. Ate breakfast and got over it. We've already established I'm not a pussy. Be me. Chubby 12-year-old in full blaze orange. Trusty shotgun with deer slugs. Doing some deer hunting in the brisk -15 degrees Wisconsin winter. Hike out to spot with uncle and sit down at 4:30 a.m. Uncle fucks off over the hill to his spot. Freezing my tits off. JPEG. Too dark to see and shoot, but quiet enough to hear a chipmunk fart a mile away. Hear some cracking coming from the woods in front of me. Oh shit, gonna be a quick season. GIF. Cracking is coming from down the hill to my left, can tell something is walking up the trail. Few minutes later can make out some movement. Can just barely tell it's a deer in the darkness. It slowly makes its way up the trail and stops right in front of me and starts eating something on the trail. Squint trying to see if it's a buck or doe. Notice an odd appendage sticking out of its back. It's a deer leg that is slowly moving / rotating up the deer's back and morphing backing into the deer's body. Another one pops out just above its tail as the first one re-enters its body. WTF. Abby. Watch as the limbs rotate and merge for another 2 or 3 cycles. My whole body is shaking in awe. Deer's head pops up, looks at me, and then keeps walking up the trail and fucks off into the woods. Gripping shotgun and praying for sunlight. Sun comes out. Shoot a little buck around 10 a.m. Fuck off back to cabin ASAP. Never tell anyone out of fear of going to the loony bin. Never go into the woods without a weapon ever again. Playing Minecraft. Get text from dad. Come wash my balls. I'd like to contribute some to the thread, but I only have green texts from the last thread, so I don't think you guys would want to hear them. The closest thing to a paranormal experience I ever had was very minor and brief. Be me, late at night in my bedroom. Kneeling over my bed, resting my face on the mattress. I don't remember why I was doing this. Hear a pretty stereotypically demonic voice, deep and all that, say something really quickly. Don't even remember what it said. Wow, I should get to bed. Maybe kill a cockroach later. Probably just a hallucination or mishearing out of sleep deprivation. Does anyone have any accounts of paranormal experiences regarding floating lights? Like will-o-wisps or those UFO things? Be me. 2001. Just after sunset but still light out. In my room playing Counter-Strike. Low light but I can still see relatively clearly. My dog is chilling at my back just hanging out with me. Randomly feel compelled to take a pause from playing for no discernible reason. Sit down next to my dog and pet him for a bit. After a minute, become aware of something on my carpeted floor. Tiny black spot just smaller than a golf ball. Stare at it for a bit, figure that it's some toy that my dog must have dislodged from somewhere. Consider that it might even be a mouse. Begin to notice that it isn't just black but actually devoid of all light, it isn't moving at all. My dog notices it because I'm staring and we're both looking at it now. He takes a tentative step towards it while I'm staring down at it trying to figure out what it could be. Black spot completely vanishes in an instant. Simply blinks out of existence, leaving bare carpet and nothing else. No movement, no motion trail, no flash, no sound, just gone. Immediate brain reaction, must have been seeing shit then. In the same nanosecond I have that thought, my dog freaks. Dog is pretty smart and is basically a cat in dog form. Have never heard him sound confused, but he lets out a surprised blurk. He rushes over to the spot was and begins furiously sniffing at the carpet. Realize that whatever I saw was actually there. Still have no fucking idea what it was. This is from a long time ago and it might be imagination by here we go. Be me. 5. In front of neighbor's block garage door with childhood friend, parents discussing. In front of that block then was a parcel with grass and bushes. It was getting dark. I remember clearly playing with a toy lantern, then just turning my head to face the parcel. Saw a thing lift its head from behind the bushes, looking at us from a distance. Looked as if plants and leaves were part of its body, for camouflage. No one else saw it, everyone went back home like normal. It might have been childhood imagination playing tricks on me, however I just remembered for years that it was as if a thing rose from the bushes to look at us. Be me. 23 years old living alone. Loves to visit random websites and explore the internet in the year of our Lord 2026 since most major social medias are dead ass. Finds random minimalist chat room website. Joins chat thinking there would be cool people to meet, chats, and has a nice time with a couple guys before some other dude DMs me. DM says something along the lines of, "Nobody will believe you." Confused as fuck.gif. Responds, "What?" Guy says my full legal name and current address before I block him and close out of the website for good. Goes to bed, falls asleep watching SML video compilations. Wakes up in the middle of the night for an unknown reason. Looks around the room before trying to go back to sleep. Hears rustling and footsteps behind me rushing out my door as I turn and utter, "What the fuck?" Mysterious man rushes out the door as I grab my phone to call the police. Police arrive and question me, but can't figure out who it was that broke into my apartment. Goes to stay with my mom for a night to clear my head after the incident. Gets a text that night from an unknown number of me sleeping in my own bed. Sleep deprivation is terrifying. I remember when I was younger doing some very long gaming sessions and when I was trying to sleep afterwards I'd hear my mom's voice, babies crying or someone calling my name a few seconds after closing my eyes. First sleep paralysis. Be me. 19 years old. Great-grandma passed away a few months ago. Visit and ending up sleeping on her bed for the night. Go to sleep. Suddenly wake up. What da fuck, I can't move my body. PNG. Start panicking. I can't even open my eyes. Complete darkness, watching the void and unable to move. Suddenly feel something on my chest. My chest gets heavier. I try to calm myself. I realize that it's getting heavier because something is sitting on top of me. Feels like big paws pressing on my chest. Keep feeling more pressure. Suddenly I hear sniffing. Feels like a literal hellhound is on top of me. Keep sniffing around my neck area at first. I can feel its breath on my neck and face. Feel its snout close to my face, hot air coming out of it and growling in my ear. I'm scared shitless. Can't take it anymore. Start struggling to move my hands thinking I'll wake up. Wake up. I had many more experiences since then, but this first one kept me awake for a while afterwards. Yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing that happened to me sometimes. Especially my mother's voice, calling my name, making me worried I pissed her off. I often heard her in the little sounds during the night, or rather, thought I heard it. But that incident was quite different. My room was almost completely quiet, which made me considerably more freaked out. Anyway, I'm not inclined to believe that the sleep deprivation was anything paranormal, either. I've had that feeling the pressure of something like an animal atop you is a common sleep deprivation experience. I wonder what causes it, though. It's rather specific, don't you think? They say you get it when your body fails to transition between stages of sleep properly. 5, maybe 6. In town with my mom. Always stayed really close to her because it wasn't that long after the James Bulger murder and I was terrified of being kidnapped. Big shopping center in town that's laid out as a big square. The shops have a door on the front street and then they have another door at the back of them that you can exit into the center or enter them and exit onto the street. Loads of people use the shops as shortcuts. Cut through this pharmacy type one that was really small and narrow with steps that led you to the door to the shopping center. Get distracted by something on display. Think my mum is standing next to me, but when I turn around I see her exiting into the shopping center. Run after her. Door is really heavy and I struggle to open it. Badly panicking. Nice woman about my mum's age rushes over to calm me down. Asks what's wrong and I tell her. Well, let's see if we can find her, smiley face. She went through these doors, smiley face. Takes my hand, let's find her, smiley face. Has a little look around. Starts taking me to the front doors towards the street. Put up a vague of protest so someone will notice. Only one person does and the smiley face woman says I'm always like this because I hate shopping. Despite my kidnapping fears, this is what seems to be happening in real time. Almost at the doors when I hear my mum shout of me. She comes over and takes my hand. Mum asks the woman what she's doing. Explains how I lost her and she was taking me to find her. Mum gives her misplaced thanks. I get forced to thank her. We start leaving through the shopping center doors. Look back at the woman, now I'm safe. She's no longer smiling and is glaring. It could have just been in my head, but I swear her face morphs into like an old hag. Terrified me that much I would actively avoid using that shopping as a shortcut even when I was an adult. People used to love trying to kidnap me for some reason. Someone tried again too when I was 17. Walking to my friend's house one afternoon. Busy road at the end of my street which is suspiciously quiet. Car parked up at the side with a guy perusing a map. Guy shouts of me over, presumably for directions. Go over and start showing him on the map. Have to lean through the window because he has the whole map open. Feel someone grab my legs and try to force me through the window while the guy inside tries to pull me in. I'm not a 15 pounds. 6-year-old now though. I'm like a 6 feet 1 inch 210 pounds almost man raging with testosterone who carried a weapon and definitely not the ideal target to kidnap. Fairly easily get myself free. Quite clearly ask them what the fuck you doing as I back away. Neither of them respond. One who came behind nonchalantly gets into the car and they drive off. Not even at speed, just a normal pace. In fairness, I think that one might have been mistaken identity because there was a lot of trouble in the area at the time. Like will-o-wisps or those UFO things. Yeah, I've posted my UFO story here a few times. Can't be bothered to dig it up in the archives, so I'll just post it again. Be me, 15 or so. Parents divorced, dad has a little cabin out in the boonies. Spend every other weekend out there with him. Sometime during the spring or summer, can't remember exactly, but it was warm enough to have the car windows down. Going shopping for groceries and such around 8 p.m. or so. Not fully dark but almost. Taking back roads to dad's cabin. See something flying overhead. Dad sees it too, slows down until we're basically stopped. It's some big black thing, flying a good bit lower than a plane would be. Shaped sort of like Pick related from Star Wars but nowhere near that big. See dark blue lines crisscrossing each other on the underside. On one side there's some kind of panel or piece of something that is slowly rotating. It changes from the same blue as the lines to a red that's the same sort of dark shade with every turn. Neither of us has any fucking clue what we're looking at. It's totally silent. Watch it as it passes over until we can't see it anymore. Weirdest shit I've ever seen. I can bring it up to my dad today and he'll instantly start talking about the will on the side. It sticks out in his mind too. I know there is a military base in the area, so maybe we happen to see some experimental craft out on a test flight or something. I guess I'll post a couple others I posted on /x/before too, got nothing better to do right now. Be me, 20. Going up to Maryland with best friend to collect a minor trust fund. We're getting an apartment, from my grandma who died when I was a kid. 12-hour journey, friend has season passes to Kings Island in Ohio. Decide to stop there, dig around, stay overnight and continue the next day. It's a weekday so there's fucking no one. Carnies let us ride the roller coasters over and over until we say stop. Good time. Want to take a breather so we wander the park. Come to an area where there's nobody around, no employees or anything. Looks like some kind of storage space for seasonal stuff. Little cement walkway in a zigzag pattern leading up to a shed that reminds me of the one in Jurassic Park where Samuel L. Jackson gets disarmed. See dismembered headless torso sticking partway out of the shack. Ha, Halloween decorations. Keep walking. Best friend and I stop at the exact same second and look at each other. We talked about it later and he confirmed his instincts suddenly went apeshit and he couldn't have taken another step forward if he wanted to. Same thing I felt. Torso doesn't look so decorative anymore. We're still a ways off, but I imagine the smell of rot would have gotten to us even at that distance, but who knows. Stare at the shed for another 10 seconds or so. Turn and leave the area, keep looking over our shoulders. Leave park after that. Get pizza, watch movies in shitty motel. Sleep. Wake up in the middle of the night to piss. Hear doorknob jiggling. Now I have to piss and shit. Wait for a minute, it stops jiggling. Hear footsteps outside. Nothing else weird happens after that. Continue journey the next day. Another one that I bring up pretty often, and he remembers it the same way. Our subconscious was saying fuck that for some reason, I guess. Spooky country murder pit. Be me, high school senior, so around 17 or 18. Parents divorced as I mentioned, living with mom mostly at this point because of some personal stuff. Best friend from Kings Island story is over all the time. Take walks down a long dead-end road next to mom's house a lot. Unpaved road, lots of old abandoned structures and trailers and barns and shit. Like to explore. There's a fuckload of land out there, so there's always someplace new to check out. Wander in a woods and suddenly smell blood and copper. Nah, just kidding. Nothing interesting. Eventually trees open up into a big clearing. There's what looks like a burn/trash pit near the tree, lean on one side. Cool, shit, we can pawn. Start rummaging through it. All bullshit. Eventually notice a small bone. Somebody burned their cat, I guess. See more bones. Bigger. Uncomfortably bigger. My dad works in the medical field and one of his specialties is reading X-rays, meaning he is really good at identifying bones. My phone is dead, best friend's is not. Have him take pictures of bones. Give him dad's number. He texts explaining what we found and asks for an ID of the bones. Dad texts back a couple minutes later. Those look human, best friend's name. Neat, we found a fucking body dumping ground. Hear something past the tree, lean beyond the pit. Something moving around. That's not unusual, there are squirrels and coyotes and other such bullshit everywhere out there. This did not sound small enough to be any of those. Nope. Yell something like go or get the fuck out. We take the fuck off. Get back home, debate calling cops. We highly distrust cops and don't want to involve ourselves with anything they're involved in. Decide to make an anonymous tip. I went back there like a month or so later and the pit was totally gone besides some obvious burn marks where it had been, so I guess they cleared it. This one is shorter but I still remember the feeling. I am a firm believer that the subconscious mind is way more fucking aware than people realize, almost on some kind of sixth sense psychic level. Be 23 or so. Going to buy liquor from the store I usually use. Park next to a van, one of those big ass ones with the sliding side door and the ladder on the back. This one has curtains on the sliding door window, so I guess the driver was living in it or using it as a camper or something. As I'm heading into the store, a guy comes out and goes for the van. Guess that's the driver. We make eye contact. Every instinct in my brain collectively shits itself and I feel my adrenaline dump. The guy doesn't look particularly creepy. Doesn't stand out, not that big, no weird facial marks or anything. Just a guy. With eyes that are blank. It's actually hard to describe because I don't mean vacant like someone who's drunk or the 1,000-yard PTSD stare, nor do I mean some supernatural spooky dooky horseshit like his eyes were all black or something. The closest thing I can compare them to is how a doll's eyes look. They're meant to be copies of the human eye, but they very fucking obviously are not actual human eyes. He nods to me and gets in the van. I don't think I nodded back, pretty sure I was way too freaked out to move. Feeling fades pretty quickly after that. Go home and get sloshed. I'm pretty sure I came across a murderer/serial killer. I also some would think that he picked up on my response and the nod was his acknowledgement of that, maybe he even got a kick out of it. I never actually felt in danger, like I don't believe he was sizing me up as a potential victim or anything. I just think my subconscious mind knew that this fucker was not good people and wanted to make sure I got that. I have a few about ghosts. 14. Have to walk through the laundry room to get inside my house. See a woman in a black dress sitting on the sink. Regular, solid looking, weird dress. Can't remember if her head was sideways or if there were hair covering her, but I do remember not seeing a face. Ask mom, who was just past the doorway in the next room, who her friend sitting on the sink is. What are you talking about, Anon? We went to check and she was gone. Took me like 5 seconds to ask the question and take 2 steps back into the laundry room. Before that my family lived in a rented house where, every single night we would hear loud pig shouting snorts coming from the same spot. Be me 8 to 9, plus dad, mom, granddad, and 2 older sisters. Moved to a new house, Rented. This is in South America. Houses aren't built elevated 2 feet or with off the ground like in the US. No basements either. It's solid ground with a few pipelines beneath us. This will be relevant in a second. Maybe a week after we moved in, the sound started. Loud, in different cadences and patterns, pig snorts. And I mean loud. You could feel the doors shaking. Every night at midnight it fucking started and lasted till like 6 a.m. We pinpointed exactly where it was coming from. From a spot under the ground in one of the bedrooms. Called plumbers, contractors, electricians, nobody had a clue what it could be. The neighbors could hear it. We invited some to spend the night, nobody knew WTF it was, but they told us that the house had been empty for a long time before we moved in and it never made those sounds. Owner didn't know anything. It wasn't natural. The whole family slept together in the same room cause we were all freaked out. We eventually called a priest to bless the house or exorcise IR or with he could do. Pig snorts became not as loud for a few days, but then came back as if nothing had happened. We moved out in like 6 months. Took that long for my dad to find us somewhere else. Sit down. Do a POO. Wipe. Toilet paper clean. Look down. Nothing in the bowl. Delivery related reminds me of my own. Disappointing ending though. Deliver for a takeaway when I was 19. Old woman always gets the last delivery of the night. Lives in an upstairs flat, so she leaves the front door open and you go up and knock on the living room door. Which I hate because her dog seems vicious, but I don't think it really is. It just barks and snarls the second you go inside the flat. Highly protective of her. There's a reason she uses this door method, but it's not worth explaining. Go there one night. Shout up the stairs that it's only me. Go up and knock on the living room door. No answer. Bedroom door is next to it and then another bedroom door at 90 degrees. 90 degrees opens a little. Hello. Me BTW. Maybe she's sick or something, I don't know. Go over to it anyway. Can hear murmuring, so I push the door open a little and then it hits something. Delivery has been paid for, but she's a good tipper, so I don't want to just leave. Start having a conversation with no one. Do you want me to leave this here? Do you want me to bring it in? Sure, has been a quiet night, tip-wise, etc. Don't get any response back. Put it on the floor and start walking away. Door opens a little more. Do my moronic hello. Again. Walk back over to the door. No reply. Listen, I'm going to come in just to make sure you're alright, alright? Alright. Light switches maybe 6 inches inside the ajar door. Put my hand in to switch it on because I'm not walking into some dodgy pitch dark room. Put my hand on the light switch. Someone who is definitely not a 90-year-old woman grabs hold of my hand. Kick the food all over the floor when I try to run away. Launch myself down the entire flight of stairs and slam the door behind me. No one rang to complain about the food getting fucked. Nothing in the paper about anything happened. She never got another delivery. And it wasn't until I was already back safe that I realized the dog, if it was there, never made a sound. Be me. Around 11 years old. 2012. Playing Roblox while parents are out. On a friend's shitty lobby he made. Only one on server until some random guy joins. Immediately get bad vibes, but still working on finishing despite my shit skills. Guy starts to chat towards me. Ignore him until he reaches me and starts to block me. Ask him what he wants and who he is. Claims to be a friend of my friend. Claims to be a kid from the same neighborhood as my friend. Asks to hang out sometime. Asks me for my address. Asks me what school I go to. Make up random bullshit just to get him to go away. End up asking friend about him later. Friend knows nothing about him. Receive friend request from the creepy user. Go to his profile to block him. Game for my friends, insert our usernames, is the only game he has. Join game while logged out as a guest because I don't want to fuck with him. Game is a basic poorly built house with our avatars stuck inside alongside his. Leave immediately. Get another friend request from the same guy on a new account a week later. Block him again. Start playing around with my friends sometime later. The same fucking guy on his third alt joins our server. Start spamming the chat calling us horrible friends for ignoring him and that we will regret everything. Claims to know where we live. Claims to have some hacker power that can grab our IPs. Don't know shit about computers or IPs at our age, so immediately freak out. Tells us he's coming in a gray car. Leaves us for the last time. Nothing really happens after this, but we both get scared at the sight of any gray car. I had one experience that I chalked up to sleep paralysis as well, but it felt way too real. Not sure if it fits, but be me, 3 or so years ago. Wake up at my usual weird 3 a.m. time. Had been having relatively normal dreams/nightmares. Some good, some definitely a bit freaky, teeth falling out, etc. Roll around in my half-awake state for what felt like a few minutes. Fuck this, back to Betty, bye. Maybe another couple minutes pass, or so it feels like. Another dream starts, this time in my room. Pile of clothes on chair does the usual scare tactic. Pretty much on the verge of dismissing, or what the dream equal of that would be, when I notice something different. There's something different near my door. Previously empty space now occupied by an undescriptive black mass, actively blocking the light coming underneath my door. Realize everything in room has suddenly become much more in focus, not the half-muddled dream style. Immediately shut my eyes, or try to, my vision at least went black. Hear the sound of chains slowly dragging across the carpet, a very muffled clink. Hear raspy breathing with it, it's getting closer. Oh fuck dog PNG. Something about this feels really real and different in a bad way. Eyes still closed, feel a heavy weight press down onto my shoulder, and swear to God I can feel the breath of this hitting my ear as it rasps next to me. What felt like an eternity of something pressing its full body weight onto me. Ends, open eyes, room as normal. Spend the next few hours before work just silently coping. Genuinely still freaked out today, no clue if it was sleep paralysis, really bad nightmare, or what. One motherfucker did this at the fair in town. He leaned back too far and no clipping through the canvas ceiling. I guess it fling him about a block away before he landed out of bounds. They still use the same machine, but there's a huge duct tape patch over one of those triangles in the ceiling saying "Do not the rippin'." Just watched GoldenEye the movie and it brought up ancient memories. Play GoldenEye with friend as a kid. We were trying to get top rank on all levels. At Dam, we played it all the time. He knew this damn trick. There are towers across the water on Dam that you can zoom in on with the sniper. He would stand on this particular spot on the railing. Then zoom in and out on the sniper while looking at the towers in the distance. After doing this a few times, James Bond would teleport to these towers. There was a guy on the island he killed. We looked at the cool turret building. Then he would zoom back to the water dam. He would snipe people on the dam. Then he would do the same zoom in and out trick to get back to the dam. Thought this was normal and never really questioned it. I watched him do the damn trick like 10 times. 15 years later. I'm not really into GoldenEye N64, but the speedrun videos would sometimes pop up here and there. Watch Dam, talk about it with some people. Tell them about the tower zoom trick my friend used to do. People tell me this isn't possible. They are unusually hostile, treat me weirdly. They are like nice creepypasta. What the fuck? It turns out tons of people have tons of crazy damn tower stories. What the heck happened here? 6 a.m. Live in a small town. Top floor of a building. Probably spring or fall, warm enough to need windows open but cool enough to not need AC. Preparing for bed, getting water. Hear this low gurgling moan type sound. Mumble, shut the fuck up. The moan escalates into a screech. Shivers all over, acting like I didn't notice anything. Go to bed without incident. The screaming part was just like this, but it only happened once. No repeating like in the video. Not to mention I'm pretty sure no mountain lions are in this general area. Weird shit. The overt mirroring is what gets to me. I had a main perp for years, he is gone now, but when my life started to improve it got worse. When I started to notice it, yet it ramped up. This didn't feel like typical smear campaigns, no, something more. He had an expensive laptop and he'd wave it around and overtly mirroring me one-to-one in this predatory way. Started to feel cultic. But yeah, the aggressive sexual taunting. I kept saying to myself he was just an insecure low-life scumbag, but the way he'd flaunt it was like a flag or warning. Like something much more was happening. This shit is scary, I'm not gonna lie. I've lost so much sleep and had night terrors over this, even though it was 2 years ago. It's pure devil's work at play. Anyone else? This is 100% real and no one knows about it? It's sad, really. I have something in my body, whether it's a chip, black goo, parasites, or nanobots, I don't know. The point is, it's sad how bad this planet has gotten, and people lie to us, always brushing it off as a mental illness, suffers from gang stalkers or any of the other things I mentioned above, have it really bad. So sad we are all called crazy or mentally sick. Weird tongue. Won't say which celeb it is because I don't want to get into no trouble. But if you slow down the video and pause it every now and then, you see this very thin tiny tongue that slithers for only a fraction of a second. There are 2 other major celebs I have seen do this too. Serious call to action: NATO leaders should disclose details about extraterrestrials and UFOs at the NATO summit on July 8, 2026. There is a lot of speculation and discussion surrounding disclosure possibly happening on July 8, 2026. As there is no evidence or confirmation of this, I think it is exactly that, speculation and discussion around an idea. Turkey is hosting a NATO summit on Tuesday and Wednesday, July 7 to 8, 2026. The event will bring together the leaders of all 32 member states, as well as partner nations, including the European Union, Ukraine, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, and others. This poses a unique opportunity to have coordinated disclosure. Leaders of many nations will be present to display a united front on a global issue for their nations, wider world, and universe. A clear message from a unified group echoes more than any single leader. I am calling on NATO leaders to disclose the truth about extraterrestrials and UFOs during the NATO closing press conference on July 8, 2026. I hope that our world leaders will step up and share the truth for the sake of humanity. I invite thoughts and ideas about how this call to action can be amplified. As we look to each other, to the internet, and to the skies, there is no better time than the present for disclosure of the truth. Hell. This near-death experience seems to prove quantum immortality, and it's messing me up at around 47 minutes. This experiencer relays that the angels told her basically that you may die in one timeline for someone else and survive in another timeline that you actually experience. Basically quantum immortality. This idea really bothers me. It bothers me because if diverging timelines are real, then there is no objective reality, and if there is no objective reality, then it feels like basically the people I love aren't real. They only exist as I know them in my little pocket reality, and therefore they might as well not exist at all. They're basically figments of my imagination. Can anyone offer some insight on this? Is this not necessarily true? How do you cope? Why the Vancouver Island Bigfoot photo is real. 2 big reasons. First off, on the original post on Facebook, in a hiking group, not a cryptid group or anything, someone else said they recognized the figure and had seen the same creature in the area while hiking on the island. They said it was 100 feet away and had a staring contest with them before it stood up and walked away. This other person mentioned it was covered in hair and very tall. Second reason, and this one is personal. I know an old hippie that has been all over the backwoods of Northern California and Oregon, and still grows weed in Southern Oregon out in the woods. He has came face to face with a Squatch before, and insists that the ape features everyone thinks Bigfoot has is not accurate, and that Sasquatch actual have more of what he describes as a lion face. Very much like this Vancouver Squatch photo. I believe this is probably the best quality photograph of a Sasquatch that is publicly available. I really wish there was funding to send researchers full-time and document these creatures and give us confirmation once and for all. It's really real. I've been gang stalked for about 2 years now. It was one day I was driving and just absolutely snapped. I got tired of playing the road game with the attackers. I literally went mad. I started driving across grass going over curbs to get away from them, but they still ended up finding me. I then collected myself and decided it was nothing to do but to go inside to my home that was across town. When I finally gave up, I was in an apartment complex making a 3-point turn. As I was going to make the final turn of the 3-point turn, a car flew around me and I almost gotten into an accident. The car passed, then right before I tried to turn again another car came past and I almost hit them as well, and it was weird because if she had seen me almost hit the car before, why would she do the same? It was almost like she was trying to get me to run into her car. I then got scared and went into panic mode. My GPS that I used to get around due to me being new to the city was glitching, Google Maps. It kept directing me to go to a way that was blocked off by the electric company. By the third time the GPS brought me to the same spot, I then gave up and asked one of the electricians that was working with help to redirect me from the blocked off road. I gave him my phone and he went to doodling on it. I let him because I thought he was going to text me a message or let me know what was going on. He had my phone for a minute, then gave it back with the GPS already en route. So then I went on my way. On the drive I was wondering what the hell he was doing on my phone. I looked at the recent tabs, there was nothing. Went to the notes, it was nothing, so I brushed it off. When I got to my destination I sat and calmed my nerves and thought to look at my Find My iPhone app, then realized he shared my location to his phone, but he shared his as well. He turned it off and his last destination was at a church house. I was so confused and so scared. Still is. I don't know what they want from me, but it's getting out of hand. I just want to spread awareness because this happened. There's no explanation on why a random guy share my location with himself. No explanation on why the GPS kept on glitch. Still no answers. These things happen to me. Be safe, stay calm and pray. There's no help for us coming from this world. I'm not mentally ill. This world is. Why me? I'm trying to understand an encounter that I had with what I believe was a reptilian. He came to me in my home. He appeared suddenly in front of me and connected with me telepathically. He scanned my body and focused on an area in the upper left quadrant of my brain. It was a brief encounter, but I feel that it was deeply spiritual and sacred, so I am hesitant to share too many details right now until I have a better understanding of why he showed up. Since my encounter with him I felt like I've been tuned into a different frequency. I see with a different set of eyes and I receive downloads of information in various ways. My question is, why was I chosen and how can I send a signal to ask him to consider another encounter? I am at a complete loss of what's happening. So, my post on another thread was removed for violating the rules, which I don't agree with. But after posting there I was listening to a video and heard about this subreddit and thought this sounds exactly like what I've been trying to find. I'm at a complete loss here, 39 female, trying to figure out 1. What is going on with my partner, 38 male, and 2. What I should do, if anything, since we have been together for over a year now and I have a lot invested in this relationship now. He is seriously the perfect man. I've never dated anyone like him before. He checks every single box of mine. And I check all of his boxes. I've been so happy because I was in a really horrible 10-year marriage full of abuse and neglect. So, he is seriously the best thing that has happened to me. I couldn't ask for a better man. He lives by himself, owns his home, works for the same company for many years, has limited friends, is financially secure. The signs started small. He mentioned odd things here and there, like an Amazon drone followed him on his evening walk. A neighbor made him trip while setting up their electric holiday decorations. Someone smirked at him while taking his dog to the park. Then it escalated further. Drones were hovering outside his windows at night. The drones were causing loud noises and waking him up at night. The drones were flashing lights into his house. There were sounds coming into the house at all hours of the early morning. The sounds ranged from computer noises, breathing, beeping, the sound of an old-style computer starting up, and a dog. The strange thing is that the computer was an old computer of his that he didn't use anymore. Then it was a computer noise, but from sounds he had heard from using the computer earlier in the day. There were other things that just scared me, honestly. I caught him one time in full conversation with himself where he looked very stressed, as if he was responding to internal stimuli. I touched his back and it took him a few moments to realize I was engaging him. When he looked up at me finally, I smiled. He looked horrified. It shook me, but I brushed it off because I didn't know what else to do. Over the last few months he's invested in an expensive security system to guard his home that he monitors frequently. It has consumed his life. He barely sleeps. He's bought more cameras to put on the inside of his home. He just told me a few days ago he's put wire cameras in his ventilation system because he hears the noises from there. He has sealed off the airflow vents from the outside. He reported to me that it looks like someone pried the vents open, which is why he did that. This last weekend he was at my house and said that it's not so bad when he's at my house with me. That really scared me, thinking that he feels like whatever is going on at his house is also at my house. I've tried to Google what he's told me, and we've tried CO2 detectors. We've searched for black mold. We've tried watching for disgruntled neighbors that may want to sell his house for an Airbnb. I know that's a stretch, but you never know, I guess. I can't figure out what is happening and I want to help him. I don't want to just walk away and wash my hands clean of this relationship, but I've never dealt with anything like this before. I just don't hear or see what he is describing. Maybe someone can help shed some light for me. UFO Hammers 4chan. Man, I remember that 4chan whistleblower from years ago saying that nobody needed to believe him because things would eventually come out naturally. He mentioned smaller objects that would emerge from the structure in the ocean and referred to them as hammers. Doesn't this recent UFO look a lot like the hammers he described? Can anyone help me identify what I saw? Okay, I want to preface this with saying that I was fully conscious for this. It was during the daytime and I was scrolling on my phone in bed and had been for like an hour. In a matter of minutes, in front of me just above my line of sight was this what I can only call portal. It was a little medium for a second and small and was almost like purplish, like crackling magic sparks from it almost, and I was literally stunned. It caught my attention instantly and it didn't disappear when I looked at it. Continued to spark, then it disappeared. This happened in a matter of a few seconds. I also want to clarify, despite it being during the day, I don't believe it was anything to do with the sun. I always keep my curtains closed cause I personally prefer it for my room, and I live in Ireland so sun is scarce this time of year. Also, I'm not good with helping you picture it though. I swear to you it was its own thing, like if you were to VFX it into my room. Can anyone help me name it, or if you have your own experience can you please comment it? It looked exactly like this picture, just with more purple. Note this is not the actual picture of it, just a reference I found on a TikTok live looking at stars that I thought was very similar to what I saw. Question. From reading everyone's experiences with reptilians, are some kind or oblivious? I assumed all were evil and incapable of empathy and had the worst intentions, but if I'm wrong please let me know. I'd love to read your experiences. Did we just jump timelines? Hear me out. Recently, I remembered looking up Chick-fil-A, without the K, because that's how I was sure it was spelled. Then I found out it's actually Chick-fil-A, and apparently it's always been that way. That sent me down a rabbit hole, and then I discovered that Kit Kat supposedly never had a dash, Kit Kat, even though the logo without one looks completely wrong to me. On top of that, I remember Sprite bottles being green, and I could have sworn the peanut butter was called Jiffy instead of Jif. I know memory can be weird, but these feel so real and they happened recently enough that I can't just brush them off. Is anyone else from that timeline, or does anyone else remember all of these the same way? Because I genuinely can't explain it. Edit. I also remember Pikachu having a black tip on his tail. I've been telepathically contacted by an ET. Not sure where more else to post this, but I think you guys would be more open about it. I've been telepathically communicated by an ET this night. It said, "My name, wake up." And it showed me a vision of a gray alien. I was half asleep half awake, and now I couldn't sleep back. I don't know what to think of it. I've been thinking maybe it's just a dream. But I could tell it really sent me a message to the point it woke me up. What do you guys think about it? I don't know what to make of it. Clock it, please. When did gang stalking become a thing? Where did it originate? How did average citizens become worthy? How is it recognized enough to become labeled, yet, erroneously treated as if fictitious? Has anyone ever seen something like this? I was walking one night and saw a golden triangle moving in the sky like a kite. I don't want to sound cliché or weird, but it seemed to fill me up with a bunch of love, so much that it felt like it was radiating off of me and I had to go give some other people. Then a few days later I saw it again, but it was much larger, like 5 stories tall. It rose up above the trees so I could see it. I had AI recreate it. I had an encounter with one in SW, Ohio as an Ancient Homonid Researcher. I believe these are Meganthropus. Meganthropus paleojavanicus was known very tall with body height of 8 feet, and this made M. paleojavanicus as the tallest hominid ever existed. This species was living in closed tropical woodland and hilly landscape, as the fossil remains were found in a remote forest in Sangiran, central Java. Owing large body size, it may influence the foraging ecology of M. paleojavanicus to cope with the terrain. In here, this study aimed to model the M. paleojavanicus foraging ecology along terrain gradients. The model indicates that within 5 km home range radius, the most suitable foraging areas were in northeast, since these areas have more flat landscapes with slopes of 7.5%. While less suitable areas in northwest and southwest areas were characterized by hilly landscapes with rugged terrain and steep slopes with slopes of 62.8%. https://www.periprints.org/manuscript/202011.0504. These absolutely had access to traveling northeast across a land bridge when sea levels were much lower. It's the exact same pathway many Homo sapien groups from these same regions populated both North, Central, and South America. It's a miracle we have Meganthropus fossils. These are fossil harsh regions they inhabited. Gigantopithecus was close to a orangutan and wouldn't have been able to forage here. Its diet was heavily bamboo. Who will be left to stalk, since the range of those stalks seem to be growing, big time? Who will be left to do the stalking, since a good number of those doing this disservice will also end up being stalked, while they're stalking? They're not safe either. How does Congress view this growing problem? Old Russian levitating girl video. Real, fake, or something else? There's this old video that has been around for years of a man walking in the woods with his dog and seeing a young girl apparently levitating in the air. I think it's usually called the Russian levitating girl/flying girl in the forest video. I'm not saying I know for sure that it's real. It could be fake, staged, wires, editing, whatever. But something about the video always felt strange to me. The dog reaction is one thing people always bring up. The dog seems to notice something before the camera fully focuses on it, which makes the scene feel less like a normal fake. But then again, the camera timing is also suspiciously perfect, so I can understand why people call it staged. What interests me more is the possibility that if it is not fake, then what exactly are we looking at? Is it some kind of psychic ability? Alien/hybrid ability? Reptilian or non-human bloodline thing? Some kind of hidden technology? Or just a very well-made old internet hoax? I know people will instantly say wires or editing, and that might be true. But I also think videos like this are worth looking at properly because they sit in that weird area between paranormal footage, possible hybrid/non-human theories, and old internet mystery clips. If anyone has analyzed this video frame by frame or knows the actual background of it, I'd be interested to hear it. Do you think it's fake, real, or something stranger? I astrally projected somewhere I wasn't supposed to be and saw things I shouldn't have. Ever since I was little, I've experienced lucid dreams and occasional astral projection while sleeping. Back then, I couldn't really control it. In a previous post, I mentioned how I used to project into the small forest near my house to observe birds and their chicks. They always seemed to know I was there and were never scared. Over time, I stopped doing it, but a few years ago, I decided to give astral projection another try. I came across a method where you visualize a rope hanging from the ceiling and imagine pulling yourself up to lift your body out of physical space. The person sharing the technique suggested visualizing a specific destination you want to visit while sleeping. I practiced this method for a few days without success, but I wasn't too concerned since I was just doing it for fun. Then one night, I tried again, this time playing the meditation music I usually listen to. As I fell asleep, I focused on traveling back to my home planet. I know its name, but I prefer to keep that private. When I woke up, my immediate thought was, I made it. But I quickly realized I wasn't on my planet, I was still on Earth. I wasn't walking, I was hovering just above the ground, and my body was completely transparent. I looked around and found myself in a vast, desert-like landscape. There were no roads, houses, or sign of civilization, just empty wasteland. I had never seen a place like this before. Then I looked ahead, and what I saw shocked me. There were massive shipping containers scattered around, the kind you see used as cover in video games. Suddenly, a group of men emerged from one of the containers, moving slowly in a high-ready tactical stance. They were definitely human, wearing all black tactical gear, helmets, and carrying heavy firearms. They were laser-focused. It didn't feel like a routine military exercise or training drill. And honestly, it didn't feel like their targets were human either. I had an overwhelming, sinking feeling that something was very wrong. Because of my state, they couldn't see me. They all appeared to be highly experienced operators. I couldn't tell if they were American forces or another group, especially since their eyes were covered by helmets equipped with dark visors or thermal goggles. It was daytime, and the heat in the environment was intense. I don't know how else to make sense of it, but this is exactly what I experienced. Does anyone recognize this type of gear/uniform, or have an idea of what kind of operation or target this might have been? Workplace gang stalking/coordinated harassment confirmed. I reached out to a former co-worker at a past job where I'd suspected there was co-opting and coercing of my co-workers to follow scripts as part of an influence operation. I asked them bluntly about it and they confirmed that they signed an NDA about it. We all know this is real, but here is just a little bit of proof. The targeted individual program utilizes LPAs, B2Bs, 1099s, NDAs, and financial incentives to co-opt and coerce businesses and individuals that the subject frequently interacts with to curate and control their environment. All I had to do was ask them about it. Document and record everything. The targeted individual program's days are numbered.
Are you a targeted individual? Have you had a paranormal encounter, or are the victim of an unregulated government experiment and would like to share your story with us? Would you like to send us some fan mail or a hate-filled rant? Do you have an idea for a future episode or wish to send a complaint to HR? Email us at atomicshamanSweatlodge@protonmail.com. Like, share, subscribe and be sure to check the notification bell. Follow the Atomic Shaman on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Listen to Paranormal Greentext stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube. Catch the live streams of Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge only on Rumble.